Or what is the real American beauty? According to Sam Mendes' film, we have to look closer to find out. One of the first images Mendes presents us with is the perfect red rose, cut from its stem, an image of growth snapped away from its life source. Within the film, this cut rose becomes a symbol of false surface beauty with nothing inside. The rose is almost always present in the film. Mendes is careful to include it in key shots, like when Lester first gets the chance to kiss Angela, and even the moment of his death. A cliched symbol of romantic love, the flower is expensive and sought after, yet commonplace, obvious. An unimaginative choice. Mendes' bold rose imagery repurposes that obvious flower to remind us to look past superficial appearance and avoid being brainwashed by the wrong values. The most memorable imagery in American Beauty is used to show what beauty isn't.
This isn't life! This is just stuff. And it's become more important to you than living.
The most overt use of the rose in the film is to accompany Lester's fantasy of sleeping with his teenage daughter Jane's best friend, the sexy blonde cheerleader, Angela. Note the symbolism of the word deflowered, as Lester fantasizes about deflowering the virginal nymph. American Beauty features thematic echoes of Lolita, Nabokov's story of Humbert's pedophilic obsession with the 12-year-old Lolita.
I'm used to guys drooling over me. It started when I was about 12.
Lester Burnham, whose name is an anagram of Humbert learns, falls for the teenage Angela Hayes, whose last name comes from Lolita's real name, Dolores Hayes. But as the phrase Humbert learns suggests, something different ends up happening here. Strangely, while the fantasy of Angela is empty and misguided, it jumpstarts Lester's real growth by giving him something to want, a red-blooded desire. His very typical midlife crisis, fantasizing about a younger woman, buying a cool car, quitting his boring job, is motivated by a real sense that he's gone astray. Within his rose fantasy sequences, the film's editing uses a technique of repeating the same motion over and over in ever closer shots to emphasize unreality. This is a technique you can see in surrealist filmmaking, like the work of Luis Buñuel. The disruption of the repetition snaps us out of the narrative flow, reminding us that what we're watching isn't real, just as Mendes' movie hopes to jolt us out of our routine everyday thinking. By the end, Lester has to face that his fantasy is false. While the rose-covered Angela looked like his American dream, the reality is icky. She's an underage virgin, and he'd be taking advantage. Meanwhile, Angela herself is revealed to be a common red rose, insecure, insincere, and terrified of being ordinary.
At least I'm not ugly.
Yes, you are. And you're boring. And you're totally ordinary.
While it's most linked with Angela, the rose is first associated with Carolyn.
I just love your roses. How do you get them to flourish like this?
Well, I'll tell you. Eggshells and Miracle-Gro.
Who projects the rosy-looking outer life of the happy American woman, while inside she's full of anxiety and frustration. Carolyn has lost the spontaneous girl she once was, and has become a terrified woman. Obsessed with order and maintaining a certain pruned image of herself, Carolyn can't tolerate natural wild growth. She's trying to live a life exactly like the cut roses in the glass vase. Carolyn's advancing age is a meaningful foil to Angela's youthful beauty. Carolyn is our warning that if we continue down the path of seeking beauty in common places and satisfaction in material goods, our flower will fade, will become bitter and disenchanted.
Lester, you're gonna spill beer on the couch.
So, what's the movie saying real beauty looks like? Unlike the boring red roses, Jane and Ricky, the self-described freaks, are slowly revealed to be the real American beauty.
Janie's a freak! Well, then so am I! And you'll never be a freak because you're just too perfect!
This early scene juxtaposes Angela and Jane. Here, Angela lies about being sexually experienced to seem cool. Jane tries to imitate Angela,
Really don't need to have some psycho obsessing about me right now.
but she can't commit because she knows that while Ricky appears creepy, he's genuine, and she's genuine too. Jane doesn't seek attention, which is why Ricky's camera is so interested in her. Angela projects what she believes to be attractive, imagining what others see when they look at her. She's overwhelmed by her need to be viewed as beautiful.
I mean, he didn't even, look at me once.
Real beauty doesn't have this craving. because it's inwardly generated, not fabricated from the outside in. While Angela poses for the camera, Ricky's eye and ours is watching Jane. Ultimately, the film presents a very religious or spiritual idea of what beauty is. Ricky even equates beauty with a godlike force.
That's the day I realized that there was this entire life behind things, and this incredibly benevolent force. It's like God is looking right at you, just for a second.
Far from the expensive red rose, Ricky says the most beautiful thing he's filmed is something people have labeled worthless and repulsive: trash. The image underlines the movie's thesis that suburban middle-class America's values are in the wrong place. We've thrown out what really matters. At its core, beauty is really about how we look at things. It's an experience. The movie suggests there's a life behind objects, from the rose to the garbage bag, and these objects reflect or interact with human lives. By the end, the bright red of the rose becomes the color of blood, symbolizing life and the vitality we're born with. The omnipresent false rose punctuates the film's message to remember what's important in life and remember we're alive. As Lester reminds us, any day might be our last, so make the most of it